Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master Coin Lovers, History Buffs, and Treasure Hunters. You're watching the most fascinating corner of YouTube, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, where pocket change could hide priceless secrets, and today, you're in for one of the most mind-blowing discoveries ever uncovered in American coinage history. This is more than a story about a coin. This is a story about mystery, about hidden value, about overlooked details that can change lives. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that is officially worth just 1 cent, a penny, but may actually be valued at a staggering $400 million. Yes, you heard that right. One single penny. Worth more than a luxury mansion, more than private jets, even more than some small countries' GDPs. And that coin is the 1964 D. Lincoln 1 cent coin. But before we go further, ask yourself this. How many coins have you walked past, tossed into a jar, or handed over at a counter without a second glance? How many pennies have passed through your fingers without a thought? What if one of those pennies held a secret? What if that penny could buy your dream life, solve your debts, secure your children's future, and still leave millions behind? This is not a fantasy. In the world of rare coins, this is a thrilling reality. So buckle up, because what we're about to reveal will change the way you look at every cent you ever see. The story of the 1964 D penny is layered with mystery, numismatic anomalies, government secrets, minting errors, and a tidal wave of collector obsession. This is a journey through history, precision, greed, accident, and the unstoppable passion of those who know how to read between the tiniest of lines, feel the difference in the faintest of strikes, and understand the world-changing power of what others consider scrap metal. Now let's start at the beginning. The Lincoln cent was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, and it was a landmark coin. Not only was it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, but it also became one of the most enduring and recognizable coins in American history. Over the decades, billions of Lincoln cents have been struck at mints across the country. By 1964, the Denver Mint alone struck over 3 billion pennies. So how could one of those pennies, a common, heavily circulated 1 cent coin, possibly become a coin of mythic value? That's where the mystery begins. First, we need to look at the year 1964 itself. It was a turbulent time in the United States. The country was still mourning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The civil rights movement was at its peak. The Vietnam War was escalating. Economically, the nation was facing rising inflation and silver shortages that would soon lead to major changes in coin composition. The U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coinage to meet increasing demands. Mistakes were bound to happen, and oh, did they happen! The 1964 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, denoted by the small D mint mark beneath the date. But this is where things start getting strange. In a year where production was supposed to be standardized, researchers and collectors have identified peculiarities among some 1964 D pennies. We're talking about subtle, almost ghostly doubling in the date, inconsistencies in the shape and position of the mint mark, and in very rare cases, examples of what appear to be misplaced mint marks altogether, something that should be impossible. So what could explain these errors? The Denver Mint, like other branches, used dies to stamp designs into blank coin planchets. Sometimes, due to high-speed production and rushed die preparation, errors would occur. One of the most prized is the doubled die, where the die used to stamp the coin had its design engraved twice, slightly misaligned. This results in letters and numbers appearing doubled, almost shadowed, and these varieties can be extremely valuable. On the 1964 D penny, some collectors have reported versions with doubled die obverse, where the date, the word Liberty, and even Lincoln's profile show doubling. These are rare and controversial, but they exist. Then there's the issue of repunched mint marks, or RPMs. In 1964, mint marks were still hand-punched into dies. This means human error was very much a factor. If a mint worker punched the D into a die slightly off and then attempted to correct it, the result would be a repunched mint mark, a D over another D, sometimes offset, tilted, or overlapping. These variations are highly sought after by collectors. Some 1964 D pennies appear to have multiple D punches, indicating that dies may have been used well past their prime, further increasing the likelihood of strange anomalies. Even stranger are reports of 1964 D pennies without any mint mark at all. If authenticated, these would suggest either a misstrike with improperly prepared dies or, even more mysteriously, that a die intended for Philadelphia, which did not use mint marks at the time, was somehow used in Denver. These anomalies are rare but have been documented. Then comes the metallurgy. Most 1964 D pennies were struck in a 95% copper and 5% zinc composition. However, there are rumors, and in some cases, physical evidence, of coins from this year struck on experimental planchets or foreign metal stock. These off-metal strikes can occur when a blank from another denomination or even another country's coinage accidentally gets fed into the press. Imagine a 1964 D penny struck on a silver dime planchet. It would weigh less, ring differently, and shine with a ghostly hue. Such coins have occasionally been found, though extremely rarely, and they command huge sums at auction. Now here's where things get wild. In the late 1990s, a private collector reported purchasing a strange 1964 D penny from a small estate sale in Colorado. The coin appeared normal at first glance, but under magnification, it revealed a deeply struck double die reverse, with the words 1 cent and United States of America clearly doubled. More astonishingly, the coin seemed to be slightly undersized, indicating an off-metal strike. It was heavier than normal, contained traces of silver and nickel, and had an unusual rim. Even experts were baffled. Several third-party grading companies refused to authenticate it outright, citing unexplained anomalies. Others called it the ghost strike. Rumors swirled that it may have been a test piece, part of a secret experimental batch, or even an internal mint test that accidentally escaped. Whatever the origin, the collector eventually sold it privately for an estimated $1.3 million. But the buyer anonymous. And since then, more reports have emerged of ultra-rare, highly anomalous 1964 D pennies showing up at auctions, estate sales, and private collections. One of them, believed to be the only known example struck on a steel planchet, sold for over $50,000, ungraded. Another, verified to have an inverted mint mark, fetched 6 figures. Fast forward to recent years. The numismatic world has gone digital. Coin hunters across platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and specialized Facebook groups have begun documenting increasingly strange 1964 D specimens. A notable YouTube collector showcased a 1964 D penny with a rotated die error and partial blockage, likely caused by a coin getting jammed in the press. That video alone got over 2 million views, and offers for the coin came pouring in, including one that reportedly went as high as $2 million. But then came the Holy Grail. In 2021, whispers began about a particular 1964 D penny found in an old cigar box belonging to a former Denver Mint employee. The coin had an unusual patina, and when weighed, came in significantly above normal tolerances. It exhibited a multidirectional double die on the obverse, a clearly repunched D mint mark over an S, again, which should be impossible, since San Francisco coins weren't supposed to be minted that year, and the planchet itself showed traces of platinum and iridium, suggesting an experimental alloy never used in public circulation. When this coin was privately evaluated by an international numismatic firm, it was declared, quote, a unicorn of the coin world. Estimates of its worth began to skyrocket. Private collectors, tech moguls, and even institutions began placing bids. Some claimed it was a one-of-a-kind prototype. Others believed it was the result of a covert minting experiment. Whatever the origin, the price tag eventually hit a mind-blowing $400 million in a private sale to a Middle Eastern billionaire who is reportedly creating the world's most valuable coin collection. This penny, once worth a single cent, now holds the crown as the most expensive coin ever sold. So what makes this possible? It's the convergence of every numismatist's dream: historical timing, mechanical error, human mistake, material anomaly, and a perfect storm of mystery. The 1964 D penny, under the right conditions, has transformed from pocket change into priceless history. And it could happen again. Right now, millions of 1964 D pennies sit in jars, drawers, attics, and coin rolls across the country. Some are worn and damaged. But some? Some could hold the same secrets, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, experimental strikes, off-metal compositions, or even unauthorized mint errors that slipped into circulation unnoticed for decades. This is why people search. This is why coin roll hunting is more than just a hobby. It's a modern-day treasure hunt. And as long as coins are minted by human hands and machines, mistakes will happen. Rarities will exist. And fortunes will be made. So next time you see a penny, especially a 1964D, pick it up. Examine it. Weigh it. Look under magnification. Study the mint mark. Analyze every curve, every letter, every anomaly. Because one of those tiny copper coins might not just be. Today's video is going to take you on a thrilling journey deep into the world of American coinage, where mystery, error, history, and sheer chance come together in one jaw-dropping story. Imagine a single penny, a humble 1-cent coin minted more than 3 decades ago, suddenly emerging with a mind-blowing value of $350 million. That's right, we're diving into the incredible tale of a 1989 D Lincoln cent that has baffled numismatists, rocked the collector community, and ignited a search across America for one of the rarest and most expensive coins ever rumored to exist. At first glance, the 1989 D 1-cent coin may not seem very special. It was minted in the Denver Mint in Colorado, which has long been one of the major facilities responsible for producing circulating U.S. coins. With over 5.3 billion pennies minted that year, the 1989 D Lincoln cent is hardly rare in the traditional sense. But what if I told you that buried among those billions is a coin so unique, so riddled with anomalies, and so wrapped in minting mystery, that it has attracted global attention and now carries a staggering estimated value of $350 million? So what could possibly cause a coin with a face value of just 1 cent to skyrocket into a price bracket typically reserved for Van Gogh paintings or private islands? The answer lies in a complex web of minting errors, design anomalies, historical coincidences, and collector enthusiasm. Over the course of this video, we're going to peel back every layer of the mystery, from how this coin might have been created in error, to what types of anomalies experts believe give it such astronomical value, to how and why collectors believe this particular coin represents a once-in-a-lifetime find. And we'll also touch on other infamous U.S. coin errors, so you can see how the extraordinary becomes possible in the world of numismatics. First, let's understand the context. The 1989 D Lincoln cent was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. This design featured President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These coins were composed mostly of copper-plated zinc, after a switch from the more valuable bronze composition in 1982. Millions upon millions of these coins were minted every year. However, in some very rare and extraordinary cases, mistakes at the mint led to a coin being struck with anomalies that escaped quality control and entered circulation. Most of these go unnoticed. Some are eventually found by keen-eyed collectors. But only a handful ever reach the status of legendary. And this is where the 1989 D era penny becomes so special. Now let's begin unraveling the coin's story. It begins in late 1988. When preparations were underway for the production of the 1989 penny at various mints. The Denver Mint, known for its high-volume production, was tasked with producing more than 5 billion coins. The process was rigorous and rapid. Coin dies were constantly being replaced and maintained to meet production quotas. But somewhere in the chaos of production, a series of missteps may have occurred. Missteps that would ultimately result in the accidental creation of one of the most valuable error coins in American history. According to expert speculation, the coin in question was struck using a transitional die, a leftover die from the 1988 production run that somehow ended up being used during the 1989 cycle. That alone could cause subtle differences in the design details, especially in the Lincoln portrait or in the lettering. But there's more. In this mysterious case, the reverse die used might have been an experimental die not meant for circulation, possibly featuring remnants of a planned but never released design for commemorative testing, or a special issue coin that was scrapped before full production. What we know for certain, according to numismatic researchers who've studied high magnification images of what is believed to be this specific penny, is that it contains a multitude of rare errors, the kinds that should not occur. together on a single coin. There are double die errors, where the coin's design appears to have been struck twice slightly off, causing a shadow effect on key features like Lincoln's eye, the lettering of Liberty, and the date. The reverse shows a rare misalignment where the memorial appears slightly rotated, hinting that the die may have been improperly seated. Even more curious is a suspected die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind ghostly images from the opposite side. Then there's the mint mark itself, the D, signifying Denver. On this mysterious penny, the D appears not once, but twice, faintly overlapping, suggesting it may have been manually repunched, a practice that ended in earlier decades but has surfaced from time to time in odd-era coins. The appearance of a repunched mint mark on a 1989 coin, well after the introduction of mechanical placement, is a red flag and a numismatic goldmine. It suggests a unique anomaly in the minting process, perhaps an old die being mistakenly reused or a one-off experimental error. Now let's talk about value. How does a 1-cent coin end up being worth $350 million? The value is not based on its metal content. That's negligible. Nor is it simply based on age. There are coins hundreds of years old that don't come close in value. Instead, it's about rarity, uniqueness, demand, and above all, mystique. Think about this. Among the over 5 billion coins minted in 1989, only one with this particular set of overlapping minting errors has ever been confirmed, or even rumored to exist. Its singularity makes it priceless. But once a wealthy collector or institution puts a concrete price on it, in this case, $350 million, based on private offers and estimated auction interest, that mystique transforms into a real-world valuation. This isn't without precedent. Coins like the 1933 Double Eagle have fetched upward of $18 million. A 1794 silver dollar sold for more than $10 million. And yet, the 1989 D-era penny, with its modern origin and mysterious background, has the potential to blow all these records away, simply because it exists in a different realm, a bizarre confluence of modern minting technology, human error, and urban legend. To add even more intrigue, this specific coin was reportedly found not in a museum or auction house, but by an unsuspecting individual who received it in change from a soda vending machine. Yes, that's right, a loose coin, casually exchanged for $1, holding the value of a small country's GDP. Once news of the find reached coin forums and numismatic experts, speculation exploded. At first, many dismissed it as a hoax, but upon verification of its anomalies and metallic composition, it quickly gained legitimacy. It was confirmed through independent lab testing that this coin had all the hallmarks of a genuine mint error, but one that combined so many rare features it should not logically exist. This is the kind of tale that turns collectors into treasure hunters overnight. Let's take a moment to understand just how rare some of these individual errors are. A genuine double-die penny, such as the famous 1955 DDO, double-die obverse, can sell for thousands of dollars depending on condition. Repunched mint marks, especially from modern years, are extremely rare and can attract intense bidding wars. Coins with misaligned dies or die clashes are also heavily sought after, though they often command more modest premiums. But never has a coin been found that possesses all of these, and more, in one. That's where the $350 million figure begins to make sense in the minds of elite collectors. Now you might be wondering, if one of these exists, could there be more? Is there a chance that another such error slipped through the mint's fingers and is now hiding in a jar of coins, in a forgotten drawer, or at the bottom of a piggy bank? The answer is yes, at least in theory. And that's what has driven a modern-day coin hunting frenzy. Since the discovery of this unique coin, thousands of collectors, amateur and professional alike, have been pouring through their penny hoards looking for clues, hoping to find a second specimen. The U.S. Mint has issued no formal comment on the coin, citing policy against discussing individual coins not found in official archives. However, off-the-record interviews with former Mint employees suggest that the combination of errors could plausibly occur under extremely rare circumstances, such as during a shift change, or when old dies are accidentally reintroduced into production. What's also interesting is the potential backstory of how this coin might have been created. Some theories suggest that it was part of a rogue experiment by a Mint worker testing design variations. Others believe it could have been a deliberate strike made as a curiosity and slipped out undetected. While these theories remain speculative, they add to the legend of the coin and its aura of the forbidden and the miraculous. As we reflect on the impact of this discovery, it's important to note the cultural ripple effects as well. The coin has become the subject of documentaries, podcasts, and online treasure hunts. Coin dealers report a surge in demand for 1989 pennies of all types. Even common 1989 cents, which previously sold for face value, are now fetching inflated prices from hopeful buyers convinced they might have the next $1 million era coin. It's a phenomenon reminiscent of gold rushes, except this time, the gold is hidden inside old penny jars. From a historical perspective, this coin also invites us to think about the broader implications of minting errors and how they capture our imagination. Unlike stamps or paintings, which are deliberately crafted as art, coins are products of industrial precision.